They laughed as the rope tightened, convinced no one would come. They were wrong. By the time the cadets dragged her beneath the oak tree, the sun was already high, bleaching the parade ground into a harsh, honest brightness. This wasn't an accident. This was cruelty dressed as discipline. The rope burned against her wrists as they looped it higher, and the laughter, thin, reckless, floated across the yard like a dare to the sky. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Lieutenant Mara Hayes, and she had learned early that silence was sometimes safer than protest. She'd been the only woman in her class, steady, quiet, always early. When the cadets mocked her voice, her stride, her presence, she swallowed it. When they whispered that she didn't belong, she told herself the uniform would speak louder. It hadn't. Today the rope was their punchline. The oak's leaves stirred in a mild breeze. Dust lifted. Somewhere beyond the fence, a lawnmower hummed. Normal life went on while her boots scraped for purchase. She thought of her father's hands teaching her how to tie knots on a dock long ago. She thought of her mother's rule, keep your chin up in daylight. She wondered if anyone could hear her breathing over the laughter. A knot jerked tight. Her pulse thundered. The cadets stepped back, phones raised, a circle forming, as if cruelty needed witnesses. A few neighbors leaned from porches across the street, uncertain, murmuring. Someone said it had to be training. Someone else shook their head. The air shifted, heavy with that moment when people decide whether to act. Mara's thoughts narrowed to seconds. She felt the bark scrape her shoulder. She tasted metal. She told herself to stay awake. She thought she'd never see help. She was wrong. Across the road, 10 men stood as one, frozen mid-step. They wore no uniforms, just sun-faded shirts, caps, the posture of people who had learned to read danger without words. They had been there for a retirement lunch, a coincidence of time and place. Navy SEALs, off-duty, eyes sharpening, as the scene assembled itself into something unmistakable. No one shouted at first. They moved. They crossed the street in a calm line, the way water finds the lowest path. One spoke softly to a neighbor, asking for bolt cutters. Another lifted a hand, palm out, stopping a cadet cold with nothing but a look. Tools appeared. A ladder scraped the ground. The circle broke. Step away, one of them said. Not loud, not angry. It was worse than yelling. It carried certainty. The cadets hesitated. Phones dipped. The rope quivered as hands worked in practiced harmony. Metal bit fiber. The knot surrendered. Mara sagged into arms that caught her before gravity could make its claim. She coughed, air tearing back into her chest, sunlight flooding her vision, like forgiveness she wasn't sure she deserved. The yard filled with people. Neighbors edged closer. A woman pressed water into Mara's trembling hand. Someone draped a jacket over her shoulders. The cadets stood small now, staring at the ground, the truth of their actions louder than any lecture. There was a moment brief, dangerous, when anger begged to be fed. One of the men looked at the cadets, jaw set. Then he exhaled. Justice, he knew, was not vengeance in daylight. It was accountability. Authorities arrived. Statements were taken. Names written down. The oak tree stood unchanged, leaves bright, indifferent. Mara sat on the curb, wrapped in borrowed warmth, her breath finally steady. She met the eyes of the men who had crossed the street for her. Gratitude tangled with something deeper, belief restored. Later, as the crowd thinned, Mara stood. Her legs shook, but she stood. She straightened her shoulders beneath the jacket. Daylight had not failed her after all. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And in the same bright sun where cruelty tried to hide, courage stepped forward and was seen. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. And if you believe stories like this matter, consider subscribing. You're always welcome here.